I'm not gonna lie, I'm a bit speechless. I get dry mouthed and everything right now because of this. Yes, that is somehow mine. So this wasn't planned whatsoever. It sort of just happened. I say happened, that's such a ridiculous thing to say. Obviously, I've wanted a Ferrari for a long time. People who are long-time subscribers to the channel will know that I've joked around about owning a Ferrari. Never would I have thought that I would actually have one. I always joked around. I never actually thought I'd be able to afford one or have one. Things have been good past year or so, and here we are. That's the only thing I can say, really. That's the only way I can describe it. I don't really know how else to say it. So yes, this is my Ferrari 488. Mine. How is this mine? Absolutely wild, honestly. I'm still speechless. Like, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say or what to think. I feel like it hasn't actually sunk in for me properly yet. I'm still thinking about and sort of trying to accept that I own this car, especially when I think about 10 years ago. You know, I was 20 years old and I could barely afford anything. Like, I could barely afford anything. Like, I had no money. And here we are 10 years later, 30 years old, and I own a bloody Ferrari. Like, what? What? But yes, this is my Ferrari 488. This is in Rosso Fiorano, they like to call it. I like to call it a cherry red. It's not the standard red that you see on a Ferrari. And obviously it's very different from sort of the black and grey that I usually get for cars. The reason being because it's a Ferrari, it has to be red. It's my first Ferrari, so it has to be red, right? I'd be silly not to. And usually they hold their value better as well in these sorts of colours. And it also has, as you can see, bronze/gold style wheels. Again, not usually my thing, but I saw it and I was like, wow, okay, that does look beautiful. So I was happy with it. I was like, yep, I'll take it in the bronze wheels. Of course, this is used. I didn't buy it brand new. This is used. It's a 2016 model. So yeah, it's quite used, but 2016, and look how good it still looks after all these years. Like, look how incredible it looks after what, 7 years, which is insane. I want to show you around the car. I want to show you some quirks and features, as Doug DeMuro would say, and show you what this car is all about, because obviously I'm very new to the Ferrari ownership. I'm still learning. I don't know a lot of the things. I'm sort of still learning how the car even works. I'm learning a lot of the sort of functionality because it's so different from any other car, especially with it being mid-engine. This is my first mid-engine car. Mid-engine cars drive very differently from other types of cars. But wow, it's just stunning, isn't it? I just can't believe it's mine. What an absolutely stunning piece of design this car is. I actually think, let me go around the back. I actually think the back end is better looking. Incredibly good looking. So I'm not going to go through like horsepower and engine, all this different stuff. I feel like that's quite boring actually. You know, if you want to see that sort of stuff, you can just Google it. But I wanted to show you sort of more interesting things about this car. Because yeah, 660 horsepower, that's absurd for everyday driving. I don't even know, like, I can't use that amount of power on everyday roads. Only way to get the most out of this car is to put it on a track. But yeah, my car is Rosso Fiorano. Like I said, bronze wheels. And I didn't know this, but all Ferraris come with, well, this model of car come with carbon ceramics, which is amazing. I also have these carbon bits, which are really nice. It's really nice to have the carbon. I have the carbon there. I have the carbon at the front. I think it really does a good job of sort of splitting up the color, because otherwise I think it would look too red otherwise. And then I also have the carbon bits on the back here, which is nice. And inside there is also some carbon. There's carbon on, before we go inside, there's carbon on the steering wheel. Let's try and get the brightness sorted out. There's carbon on the steering wheel. And this interior is a black interior. Now, I was actually after a cream interior, but after speaking to the guys at Ferrari, they were telling me that the cream interior is only best with a blue car when it comes to resale value and things like that. So yeah, black interior is fine. Like, I'm still happy with it. Very, very comfortable. That's actually what surprised me most about this car. It's surprisingly comfortable to drive. You know, if you put it in sort of bumpy road setting, it is so comfortable to drive. I was really, really impressed. So one of the things that seems to be a must when you buy a Ferrari is that it has to have these Scuderia shields. I honestly don't see the fascination, but it seems like if you don't have them on a Ferrari, you haven't spec'd the car right. So yeah, it just seems to be like a Ferrari thing, Ferrari owners thing. They're really obsessed with having these Scuderia shields on there. So I've got the front trunk open, and the front trunk is actually bigger than I thought. When I first got it, I was actually really surprised. So I have my camera bag, I also have a bag for a cover for the car, and yeah, just little bits here and there. But what's really interesting about some Ferraris, like this one, is that they have this. This is the spec sheet for your car. So they put the spec sheet for the car on here. So yeah, seems to be a weird quirk that they do. I think it's pretty interesting because I actually can see that this car came originally with yellow brake calipers, and now mine are grey. So my brake calipers on this one are grey. So it looks like somewhere down the line, one of the owners changed the colour of the brake calipers. But yeah, you can see all the other options that this car has as well. So that's pretty neat, being able to see the options that the Ferrari has. So another interesting thing, a lot of cars do come with toolkits, screwdrivers, spanners, whatever, tow eye, whatever it is. But with Ferrari, you also get some gloves. And those gloves are Ferrari branded gloves. Of course, they've never been used. I don't see why or who would ever use this. I don't see any Ferrari owner ever actually using these gloves, but they're there. Another nice little sort of quirk when you buy a Ferrari. Another quirk with this car is if we get inside, like so, and I show you inside, there is no gear lever or anything like that. There's not even like a park button or anything like that to put the car in park. The gearbox in this car is very interesting. It takes some getting used to, and it sort of does throw me off still. So to start the car, foot on the brake of course, and we press the start stop button, like so. Oh, it sounds good. And then we can see it's in park. So there is a park option, it's just not here anywhere. So the way it goes into park is when you turn the car off, which I think is a bit silly. I would rather have an actual park button, but either way, anyway. To put it into gear, as you can see, there's no drive button either or anything like that. You have to flick the paddle to put it into gear. Okay, now it's going to ding at me because the door is open. But yeah, now the car is in gear. So yeah, the car is in gear and it's ready to go. It doesn't creep like a normal car would, so you do have to sort of keep an eye on it because it can roll backwards. But yeah, if you want to put it back into park, now you have to turn the car off and it'll put it into park, and the parking brake or the e-brake, whatever you want to call it, will also come on. So yeah, another weird little quirk with Ferraris. They have their own way of doing things. It's a very Italian thing, I think. Another cool option that came with this car is lift. So this car does have a sort of suspension lift. I'm not sure what the exact terminology is, but you know, if you want to go over bumps and stuff, the front end will rise. Another neat feature is the fact that there is a bunch of LEDs in here. So when you need to change up gear, it sort of goes up and up and up, and then it starts flashing when you need to change a gear. Really, really cool, really, really useful, being able to know when's the right time to change or switch up gears, especially when you're really going for it. As you can see as well, everything is on the steering wheel, which I'm also trying to get used to. The indicators are actually quite easy to get used to, but it's everything else, like the windscreen washers, the windscreen wipers are here. The mode selector I can understand, you know, keeping on here. The start stop button, the suspension button, the headlights, yeah, everything, or the high beam even. Everything is on the steering wheel. So you have to be careful about where you rest your fingers, your thumbs, whatever, because you could end up hitting something unintentionally. So why a Ferrari? Like I said, I've always wanted one. I feel like, you know, Ferrari for me is like the top dog, right, when it comes to supercars. I've always wanted one, and I feel like I'm so fortunate and lucky now to be able to own one. I don't actually plan to keep it that long. Maybe a few months, maybe a year, something like that. I mean, I would like to sort of keep it for a year, but sometimes you just never know. I sometimes even get viewers get in touch with me and be like, hey, I want to buy your car off you. So if someone came along and was like, hey, I want to buy your car off you, and they offered me a good price, I probably would sell it. So yeah, I don't usually like to get attached to these things. Obviously, at the end of the day, it's still a material thing, right? But yeah, if any of you want to buy my Ferrari, let me know. Make me an offer. I just can't believe I own this thing. I am very, very fortunate, and just like, again, like I feel like I'm a bit speechless. I don't really know what to say, especially when I think back to even like 3 years ago, like, you know, what I was doing 3 years ago. For those who have been following me for a while, you know what I was doing 3 years ago, fighting cancer. And now here we are in a Ferrari, which is just wild to me. It almost makes me emotional because I'm just like, wow, like look at where I am now, look at where we are now. It's just crazy. I will of course make a proper video about it, maybe in a few months time, maybe in a year's time, sharing my experience with the car. I mean, I don't know how many people will be able to relate, because obviously not everyone gets the opportunity to be able to own a car this special. But yeah, I wanted to share it anyway, because I know some of you will be interested. It is hot. I'm sweating already. It's 25 degrees apparently outside. So yeah, it is spicy outside. This summer, I'm going to take advantage of the good weather, drive this around, really enjoy it as much as I can, because you know, this sort of opportunity doesn't come along often. Who knows, maybe in the future I'll own another Ferrari. I just don't know, but this is my first one. I'm just trying to appreciate what I have now. And yeah, I'm super lucky. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, where I'll be sharing a lot more pics of this thing, and subscribe for more.